right? One of the great American writers, Ernest Hemingway, once said that don't travel with someone you don't love. I just think that bastard had really high standards. Because right now, how do you find somebody to love? Because you can't even find anybody to travel with you anymore.
Yeah.
It's just so difficult. I don't think there's a better time to talk about travel than right now, because that's the one thing that everybody is missing. Okay, let me just put an asterisk there. Apart from the rich people, because, I mean, come on, of course. I'm holding this book, Vikram. I just told you about that Lonely Planet used to publish. It says 30th anniversary special edition or some shit like that. I don't think there were many more anniversaries after that. And I just checked out. It was published in September 2011.
Okay.
Almost sounds like if you remove the 20, if the watches always says September 11. I think I spent like $1,400 on this thing, and I never even really used it because I think the internet started coming in after September.
Yeah.
And I think I'm
They
pretty
also
much
moved
must
to
be
internet.
a cheap person. Internet. But there's this amazing thing about carrying this hard copy and
True.
feeling it that something good is going to happen from there. So we're going to talk about five of our five of the memorable, because favorite is completely different. And we're not talking about fancy or favorite, because fancy is like, oh, I went to Amsterdam, so awesome. I was looking at people smoking and eating brownies in the cafes. It was so amazing. Look at my pictures. I look so super gay, except I'm not. That's universe. So we talk about the memories that we had, the most memorable ones. And it was very difficult for me to figure out which five I have to choose. Frankly, I was fairly sure about a couple of them. But after that, it's just very difficult to say like this one is different, and there's some memories attached to everything. In fact, in my mind, I've only finalized 4, and I have 5th in my mind anyway, unless during the podcast I feel like something else I want to talk about.
Okay.
But I will just start here. Right now, I think I'll not start chronologically, so I'll just go to 2009 Goa, and that's in December, towards the very end, when the peak time when people love that stuff at that time. I traveled with 2 of my very close friends, one of them very close, somebody I definitely was very close. And that definitely made it really amazing. It was, and those guys were very young. I was already in my late 20s, but I think they were 21.
Okay.
And we were there for almost 8 days, and I think we just left before we ended up reached after Christmas or something, whatever happened. But it was just one of those trips that it was just, when you travel with, as Hemingway was saying, that you travel with people you really love. And that was the case. But just because you travel with people you love, it doesn't always turn out to be good. Sometimes you can travel with complete strangers or people you don't know. That can also turn out amazing. But few of the things that I felt was just completely different, because I'm not a very nightclub person. Because when I was young, as you know, that I used to live in Melbourne, so you can party and chill. But I didn't really like nightclubs. That was not my deal. So in those 8 days, I think I went to more clubs than I probably went to clubs in Melbourne. I mean, maybe slightly more, but yeah, we went to, I think on one day we'd end up going to like 2 or 3 clubs, because we used to hang out in that Baga Lane, which was just like the most touristy, crappiest place. But this was like our first time going to Goa and this beach destination, particularly for those people. And so we just ended up like, plus because there's multiple clubs there, we just randomly just keep going to different club and bars. So I think at one night we'll end up going to 4 or 5, so which is ridiculous. And there were some clubs which are like proper clubs where I would actually end up going in slippers and shorts.
They were not allowed.
Guess what? And that's something that was fine. That was perfectly fine. Did you say that's not allowed? No, that was perfectly fine. It was just that we were a lot of time overdressed, because there were a lot of people, and particularly if you're white, then there's like a lot of white people who are just there in their briefs, like literally in their briefs, dancing. They have no footwear, they have nothing, they're just dancing in there. So it was just like that. And I don't know. It's like we found this club also. I don't know if I've talked about in other podcasts, but there was Club Cabana, which is in the mountains, which I have never seen something like this in my life. So that's something I found out. Those 8 days just literally melted away. I couldn't realize that it was so many days were passing. There was not a single day that we slept before 4 or 5 a.m. In fact, it was a night time and it was like something was happening. It was during the day we were like, we're not gonna. Actually, we used to wake up very early, like 11:30 or 12 or even earlier than that, but it's just when it's night, we just like stay up. And also that's the day, and that's the time I realized that two LIITs are too much for me, for people like I am. So I passed out, not literally, I actually passed out, and I have no idea what happened between 12 till 3 something. And I was just sitting down on the step, and I was just like, then I finally just woke up, and I was like, what happened to all that time? He's like, you're just sitting here, just puking. I was like, okay, fair enough. Sounds about right. So, but yeah, that was. I don't think that I've ever had. I'm finding it a bit difficult to explain to people. Also, like, because a lot of time passes and people move away and all. You know how we are very, very sensitive about women. Our women. So, and in fact, this trip, actually, the person I'm not even mentioning, it's not even a woman. It's actually a guy who is very close to me. Like somebody I really loved. So because I was going to use the word I love, and be like, oh, some girl. I was like, yeah, maybe yes, but not in this time. There was a girl, but that's the girl I loved less. But yeah, that's the guy I loved more. People are like more confused now. Oh, he's gay, maybe he's bisexual or something. So it's more complicated. But yeah, for me, I don't think I've ever had a trip like that in my life. That was just a very different one because it's just two people. It was just 3 friends, and all were really, really close to each other. So that's something I've never had. Plus also, 2 boys and a girl. It was just like, there was no gender thing. It was just amazing. I still have like tons of pictures. I think you probably cut that screen off there. Like I still have pictures on that board. I'm just pointing it to the left. So I still have pictures of that like on the wall. I think most of the stuff I'm talking about, I'll have still some picture on the wall. Will be available. Maybe I myself cut it. I'm not sure how much screen comes in from there.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is my first one. Yeah, I can probably send a picture later on. Like, how it is, but like, people like move on. So a lot of time I'm talking about is like, you don't want to show their pictures.
That's
like,
true.
But people can still see if you really focus or something. But that's why I'm not taking names and all at this stage. Or maybe I can make the fake names and stuff. Like, it's easier to say guy's name even if there is like, there's some bad blood. But there's no bad blood. But sometimes it's just like nothing is happening. That's even worse. You'd rather have bad blood. Like nothing, it's just gone cold. It's like a relationship gone cold. So that's what happened. So that was my first one without harping too much on it. And I did mention this one thing, and I've mentioned this in before. I don't know which podcast I mentioned, but my friend who's the closest to me, he actually there was in Goa was very famous for people lying down topless, but not particularly on the popular beaches, right? It'll be like not in Calcutta. So, but we found somebody on Calcutta, in between Calcutta and Baga, and there was this lady who was lying, obviously white, probably Russian, and she was lying with a topless, and she had like really nice hooters. And we actually took pictures also, which is completely should not be possible. It's illegal, but we took it. I've actually lost those pictures now, unfortunately. But my friend just he was much smarter than I am, better looking as well, and more robust at that time. He was like, yeah, let's go out. So these people used to carry those ice creams in their hands, like with the whole canister, the thing that esky is something which we call in Australia, but whatever the container. And so he borrowed the container from the ice cream guy because he was very charming. So he asked him, he just gave it to him. So it's like a belt kind of thing. You put it around your neck, and it just like, it goes in the front, like, like a kangaroo baby or something. So, and then he went to that lady and he tried to sell her the ice cream. She did not buy the ice cream. He tried to sell it twice. In fact, it was like, how these guys actually take out few samples and show, and he was like literally showing her. He's like, what about this? So he spent around 10 seconds. It was just hilarious. That time we didn't have all those fancy camera phones, so otherwise we would have made the video for that.
That's most of our stories are like that only when we don't have pictures.
We don't have pictures. Yeah, that's what happens. It's like when I'm at night time, I'm just like, and driving. I think that's also in 2007 or 8, and I see this unisex salon, the whole lit up, but the uni is gone off, and it just says sex salon in the middle of Gurgaon. And then I'm like, whoa, and I want to take a picture, but we have no phones. I have like that time I had like Nokia phone, I doesn't even have a camera. So yeah, that's my first story. Let's let you get in here. So get on this.
So yeah, I think I'll go chronologically. So I have a lot of strips, and like you, I also had a hard time to pick 5 of them. So I think first one I'll talk about is when I went to Calcutta with my parents for the first time. So little bit of background. I am from a middle class family. In fact, during my childhood, I would say that we were from the lower middle class. We're not even the proper middle class. And we used to stay in a very small place. Gaurav has been there for my wedding. And
Yes, it's called Asshole Soul. Sounds like asshole. Yeah.
so that was the first time, and this was in 1999, just before 2000 was turning in, so before the Y2K bug. So this is for the first time I actually went to a big city, right? Kolkata, many people will think it's not a very big city, but during those days, and I'm talking about like 20 years back, so that time for us who was living in a smaller city, going to a big city like Kolkata was a big thing. So we went there for I think for 4 to 5 days, and it was the first thing which struck me was the traffic. And I always used to joke about this thing, even when I grew up and I started living outside, that where are these people going? So many people on the car, so many people on the bikes, where are these people going? And same amount of people are coming from that direction also. So I always used to make stories, okay, these people are going to that place. And how we always grew up watching television, right? So there'll be like stories about, oh, this person is going to meet his lover, this person is going to going to rob the bank. So it was like that. And then the funny thing was, during that time there was no Uber, nothing, right? So we used to take, and as I said, that we were from very like humble background, so we used to take buses to go around the city. And Kolkata actually had a suburban railway system as well, and there was metro as well, which was very limited that time. I think it's still limited in Kolkata. And so I mean, it was a very enriching experience for me. We went to all the places, we saw big buildings, then went to airport for the first time. For the first time I rode on a lift, and I was so happy that I rode like 10, 12 times up and down, up and down. I was so happy, oh, this is something new, lift. And then for the first time I saw that time they used to sell tickets to go inside the airport. It was not restrictive like right now. So you can just buy 10 rupee or 5 rupee ticket and go inside and watch people coming out. It was basically for people. It was like a platform ticket, like how they give on stations, so that you can go in and receive your guests. But now that has changed. They don't allow visitors to go inside. So that was there. And then the most memorable thing which I remember from that trip, I mean, there were a lot of things. We went to exhibitions and everything, and all those things were new for me. I'd never seen exhibitions. We went to a science park, which is still there, right? Even after 20 years, very popular, Nico Science City, I think, something like that it's named. So that place also like was very amazing for me. It was like an amusement park with science toys and everything. So that was very funny. That was very good. So the funniest thing which happened during that time was we went to a place called Kali Ghat. It's a temple, very popular. And there my mother, so I was with my mother and father, and my uncle was also there, but he was not there that time around. So we went inside the temple, and there was this pujari who came out. And you go to all these North Indian temples, there'll be a lot of people surrounding you. Some people will ask you for money, some people will tell you that, okay, we'll do puja for you, this puja, that puja, it will cost this much money. So something like that happened. And my father got not separated, he went to buy something or do something with a pujari, and then this other pujari was with us. So this guy said that after 5 minutes, the other pujari who was with my father, he came back and told my mother that your husband has asked for 100 rupees, and that time 100 rupees was a big amount. And she said, no, why would he send you? He would come and take the money himself. No, he said, give it to me. He is in a puja, he cannot come. So he said, no, he will, when he will come and ask me, then only I'll give the money. This pujari got angry, said, oh, what are you saying? You are not following your husband's order. And I was like, what is this thing? I mean, we are from an Orthodox family, but still we never speak like that. Oh, you should follow your husband's order and all that. And I started like making a big scene out of it. And then after I think 5 minutes, my father came, like, what happened? Then they just scurried away. So, all those people, like, they will just hanging around. And then, so that small incident, I always remember that small incident, that how these people, my mother was a bit intelligent, so she didn't give the money, but generally this is how in, especially in North Indian temples, I have not seen this happen in South Indian temples, but in North Indian temples, even now, they will try to leech off money from you. So that was a very good journey, but this is a small incident which I remember from that time. So yeah, that was my first one.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously we further. I understand the podcast is going to go really long, but I will say this much, that that's one of the reasons that when people say like, why don't you believe in God? And I'm like, see, Bikram, you've known me for like now almost 8 years. I mean, these kind of questions, people just want those reductive answers. I don't believe in God because when I was drinking milk, there was no malai or some shit. Or no, some stupid answer. It's not like that. It's a very lengthy answer. It's not. It's answer like, how do you love somebody? There's no answer. There's no movie. In the movies, there's the movie speech. You know how they make fun. I'm watching BoJack Horseman. So they're like, oh, you want a movie speech? So they give you a movie speech. But life is not a fucking movie speech, right? Life is not a 2 hour, 15 minutes without break thing. It's fucking goes on and on.
Yeah.
Even fucking COVID can't take you. So I get it. This is one of the very few reasons. When you're actually as a child, when you're not involved in something, right? When you're a part of it, you're like a fly on the wall, and you're looking at these things, and you see this thing. I see these things day in day out, and then you just see this, the people who call themselves like the gods people, like people who've sent by, and then they do stuff like this, and it's just not once. They do it. Oh, you just know they're doing a job, and then they're even fleecing you. In fact, they get happier with you. You pay more money. Get upset with you. It's all about money. It's not even like subtle. It's so blatant. It's so blatant. It's just in your face, ugly. So yeah, another podcast. So I'll talk about, now that you went back all the way there, so I'll also go back all the way. I went to boarding school in 1994. I was 12. And then I don't remember when we went to this trip I'm talking about, but it could be either, we're looking at 95. So in winters. And we went to Dhanolti. I was in Dehradun, so we went to Dhanolti, which is further up. So, first Mussoorie comes, and if you keep moving away, and as you know, if you keep moving up and up in the mountains, it just keeps getting colder and colder. Now, although, and I had never actually lived anywhere apart from Delhi before I moved to Dehradun, which was colder. Mussoorie is cold, a lot cold, and then winters come in, and then they move us to Dhanolti. And then our school people, they were like, it's not like we're some fancy people, you're just ready for this thing. We don't even know what we have to be ready, so we just wear whatever we can wear. It's only when we reach there, we actually find that it's actually freakishly cold. And then we realize that we don't actually have enough stuff to take care of ourselves. I think we had jackets and all, but what we did not have is proper, those gloves and those hoodies and other things that you need, like the actual proper thing. And the place we were living in, it had no heating. Now, it feels like a very normal thing, but that was my very first trip. I'm probably in 9th grade or 8th grade. And I feel like, wow, this is like fucking cold. And the only solace that came was actually all the boys were sleeping in the same room. It's like a hall kind of room, not very big. And we all had sleeping bags. So literally that was one thing that was making people feel warmer because of that.
Bodies.
And bodies, yeah. I distinctly, hopefully I was not sleeping in another person's sleeping bag. Hopefully not, I don't remember. But the bodies, definitely. And I remember we were, there was not even pooping space or whatever it was, but I remember pooping outside. And then I had water with me. And after I had pooped, and I was like, now I was supposed to clean up myself. You wipe your ass. You don't wipe your ass, you wash your ass, right? We're Indian people.
Yeah.
Now, the moment I touch the water, the water starts giving me burns on my fucking fingers. So not only is this cold, this is like in the morning, because when we're in school regiment, we're still like, oh, everybody wakes up at 6, get ready. I was like, fucking hell, this is like shitty cold. And so this is the first time, that was my first experience when I became an Englishman, a white person. And I did not wash my ass. I actually grabbed up a few of the leaves which I could find around, the torn leaves or the which had come off, and I wiped my ass, and I did not wash it because I was like, I can't do it. And I felt weird about the whole thing because but my fingers were burning. Like, I don't know if you understand this thing,
I know.
Like when it gets really fucking cold, it just burns your fucking fingers. It gets that cold because your fingers are already fucking cold, right? So it is just crazy. And I remember, I think that was the first time or something that we had seen ice, but I really couldn't give a shit. It's actually a bit later, a year or so later, when I saw ice and I actually enjoyed it. When it's snowing, that's the time it's nice. But when it's already snowed, it gets terrible. You're slipping on that shit. I remember once slipping on the snow because it was like, whole the road was it was just covered with snow and it has settled there. You slipped. I think it was because we're in the mountains, so it's always slopes, right? And so I remember slipping and just sliding down, and my hands, like, because the moment you fall, your hands come in to just rescue, right? But my hands like hitting the floor, hitting the road, and I can feel the fucking burns on my palms. It was just bad, like this particular zone. You can't see it, but the just right under the thumb. And I was like, fuck this thing. It was just not good. I did not enjoy cold. I mean, right now I'm one person who said I really like winters, but I'm going to be prepared. But that time I was not prepared. But that was just something I remember. That was his first trip. I had brain freeze, like not like Stephen Smith brain freeze. I just had like whole body freeze. It was just one of those. I never had that experience, and I don't think I'll ever have that experience. Particularly, you will never be that young again, and you'll never be like going in that scenario. So I think that is another standout experience for me. That again, I can't explain in a way that people will understand, but it's just something that I had never witnessed. It was just different. It was just so weird, and I was thinking about it, and it came to my memory. I actually do not remember much from that trip. It was so long ago, but when I was writing it down, I felt like this trip does deserve a mention because it was just something different. And that experience, I don't think I can have it. That's the whole idea of this trip, because I'm not talking about the trips which are like so amazing. So this was just that way. So that is my second one. So Mike, over to you.
I mean, talking about cold, I remember the first time when I went to a place which was sub-zero in temperature. This was my first trip to US, and I was prepared because and this is not the trip I'm going to talk about. I just remembered because you mentioned the cold.
Bonus.
Bonus story.
Bonus trip.
So it was in it was near the Niagara Falls in New York State. So there was, I had to travel for work, and since I was going for the first time, so I was like, I had heard stories that you should take a shoe which has this very thick sole, otherwise your shoe will melt and all that. I don't know who told me all that, but and then I bought the thickest jacket I could find, and that jacket was from Woodlands, and it was the Canadian flag was there on the chest, and I was so prepared. And still, when I went out of the airport, when I reached there and went out of the airport to just see if there are taxis around, and what I had done was I had the jacket on, but I had not pulled it up till my throat, so my throat was exposed. And as I went out, and I think it was minus 20 degree outside, I just went out and I felt my throat has, I thought that I'm choking. like what is this thing? What is happening to me? Then I just ran inside. Then I realized that since my throat was exposed, that's the reason it's happening. And that was the first time when I felt something which was very extraordinary, because people always say, "Arey, cold to acha hai, winter is nice." I mean, unless you are very old, because for old people cold is very difficult to bear. So, but if you actually experience that amount of cold which you experience in like the area which you are talking about, the Himalayas and the mountain ranges, or in a country like USA where there's no the cold temperature is very cold. So yeah, I mean, just got sidetracked. So yeah, my second story is from my college days, and I used to study in Bhubaneswar, in Orissa. It's called Odisha now. So yeah, so I was studying engineering, and I was not doing really well. I think I've already mentioned that in other podcasts. So this was in the third year, and third year we bought a bike. We means me and my best friend, who is still my best friend, Samir, and we both pooled in money and bought a bike for 13,000. And that bike was, I mean, I can do a whole podcast on the bike, because it gave us so much trouble. Because for 13,000 you can understand what will be the condition of the bike. The bike was very nice. It was some Honda CBZ, which was a very nice bike, but that bike was second hand, third hand. I don't know how many hands it had passed on from. So we bought that bike, and we used to use it to go to college and other places in the city. So once we decided, let's go to Puri. Puri is also a beach town. Unlike Goa, because Goa is all party place and everything, but Puri is more known for the temple, the Jagannath temple. So you'll still find places to party and everything, but it's much more subdued. And since it's in North India, closer to Bengal, you will be surprised to see so many Bengalis there. All the all the homestays and everything are owned by Bengali people. So yeah, anyway, so we had the bike, and we had the time to roam around. So we decided, let's go to Goa. And that time I didn't know how to ride the bike, like how to operate the bike myself. I was still learning. But Samir was really good, and he said, don't worry, I'll only take it most of the time. I'll only ride it. You just sit behind me. And that time again, we didn't have much money. As I said earlier, that I was also from a very humble, very middle class background. Even Samir was from a pretty much same middle class background. So we were on very small budget, but Samir already knew a lot of places because he had been there. So he knew about a homestay which was on the other side of the city, the town, because there were two sides. One side was more touristy, lot of Bengali tourists, lot of North Indian tourists, so you can understand how the environment will be. And then there was the other side of the town which was more secluded, and you would find more foreign travelers. In fact, I found a lot of travelers from different countries. I even chatted with one Italian guy who was a truck driver, and he was staying there for a month. And that's why when people say that a lot of foreigner tourists come to India, it's because it's very cheap for them to stay here for longer period of time. So that was that was the first time where I went with someone other than my parents on a trip. And that time I didn't used to drink as well, and Samir used to drink, but yeah, he was not like a drunkard or anything. And then we went there, we stayed there in the homestay, and since it was a secluded part of the town, it was very nice. And while coming back, it had rained before that day, so there were some wet patches in the road. So Samir said, it's a very empty stretch of the way, so you ride the bike, I'll sit behind you. So I said, yeah, fine. And so I started riding, and then suddenly what happened is there was a puddle in front on the road. So I wanted to avoid that puddle, so I applied the brake, and instead of applying the brake on the back side, I applied the front brakes, and since I was a newbie, I didn't know that you shouldn't apply the front brakes very suddenly, and that also was a disc brake, which is like a more stronger brake. So I applied it, and the road was also slippery, so we slipped. My left leg completely got bruised, and this guy didn't get much. Since he was sitting behind, he didn't get hurt much, but my left leg was completely bruised. My pant was torn, and I was like, oh, what happened? First time I actually fell from a bike, and then somebody said, oh, no worries, this happens, this is part of learning. And then from there, it was, I think, still 50 to 60 kilometers left, and he cleaned my wound. He helped me clean my wound, and with water and everything. And then in that same condition, we rode for 60 kilometers and then reached back to our place in Bhubaneswar. And I was really upset that, oh, I fell and bike also got damaged a bit. And this guy was saying, no, don't worry, dude, this is very normal. If you don't fall, you won't know how to ride the bike. And I was like, that thing stuck me for all the time, because whenever I try something new, I always remember that incident, and how nonchalant he was, Samir, about the whole thing, that okay, don't worry, you fell down, nothing happens, this is the part of learning. And it's a very small story, but that thing actually gave me a lot of strength to go through that whole college period, because the college period was very difficult for me. I've already mentioned this in my in older podcast. So yeah, that was a very small trip, but that incident stuck with me for a long time.
Yeah, I think as I know you, I think you always come across as one of the most nonchalant person. To me, you're like, relaxed. Maybe that definitely had some impact.
Samir has,
that's how we said there's
impact on me.
Yeah. Some instances, some people actually have dynamic impact on people. I also try to be more nonchalant being with you, but then I'm like, doesn't work very well. Doesn't work very well. I try, it doesn't work very well that way. So I think I'm going to talk again briefly, going back to Goa, which is like back to back, but I had really two very interesting trips in 2009, 2010. I actually went 5 years straight, like 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Then I went last, I think 19, early 19. Did I go? I don't remember. Was it 18 or 19? I just mixing up in my head. Now I'm going again. So that's something, I think that's going to be another memorable trip. I'm just like, saying it beforehand. But 2010 was something different. We reached there on 24th night. We went in train, and just the same way which we went in train in 2009, this time also we went in train. And it was colder this time. I don't know, or maybe I remember as much more colder. We didn't have any blankets or anything, because we were traveling in the regular sleeper class, and then we didn't have any, and it was just fucking cold. So we finally, and as you know, it takes almost 28, 30 hours. The train says 28, it takes 30 hours. So it took 30 hours. We reached there somehow. And then we went to, we had a place for us, but then there was some huge screw up. I think I've talked about this in another podcast or something, but we lost that place. So we were a bunch of like 8 people or something like that. And it was just crazy. And then eventually I was traveling with my girlfriend. So we decided that we'll just find a place for ourselves. And then because there was a bit of a problem, like not a flare, complete blow out of proportion, but there was something that people were like, that was the reason we lost that bungalow that we had rented. And there was a problem. Some money issues happened with people, which was stupidity. Eventually all idiots ended up paying much more money. So but so me and I, like when we had actually landed at that time, somehow they gave us the room for that day, the bungalow for that day. So it was it was Christmas. So as the person I was dating, she was Christian, so we straight away went, like, I think we got changed, we quickly just dressed and went to the church, which is completely different for me. And it was like we were just standing in the church. It was just like, straight away you reach Goa, and then next thing you know is you're in the church and everybody's celebrating Christmas. And you know, as you was like witnessing, I'm always like monitoring because this isn't there. I have no interest to be there, but I'm noticing. I'm like, this is so much different. That's why, in a way, I always, and again, it's like sounds stupid because again, at the end of the day, I feel all the religions have their own follies. But some things I always feel right, like, you know, in church, everybody's wearing like everybody's dressed up, so everybody's wearing skirts and everybody's wearing dresses, and that's stuff which we like look down upon in like in a mosque or something. Forget about mosque, in a temple. Temple, as I mean, like the Hindu temple, not the Jewish temple. So same thing, but in churches, people dress up, people wear shoes. So all the stupid shit that we keep talking, oh, you're not supposed to wear shoes, it's a God. What does the shoes has to do with the God? I was like, you're supposed to take a shower. There was no pani in the house. What can I do? Like shower, like, you know, shower is something what rich people do. Like, you know, poor people, how the poor people are going to take a shower? So I like that part. Remember that standing there looking at like, this is the way it should be. You got to worship somebody. What does a shoe or your hair tied up or not tied up? What does your cleavage or your legs have to do with God? God doesn't give a shit. Everybody came naked, right? Then like I remember walking around randomly. We had to next day find a house before like at 2 p.m. or something, before we had to like get going from that bungalow. And then we randomly like walking around and we saw another bungalow and like, this is a nice place. And we're like, yeah. I was like, and we live in Delhi, right? So we don't talk to people. We're like, you know, how antisocial and weird we become. And I was like, why don't we ask this person that if whosoever house lady, whosoever's there, that they give something on rent. Like, and it was so ridiculous. Why would somebody? And it was like, it was not a hotel, it was just a house. And then guess what happened? She did give her place on rent, and we obviously later on found out that a lot of people do. And then she happened to have somebody cancelled because it was like Christmas time, so it was all busy. So somebody had cancelled, and we got a room, and it was the cheapest room. We were getting rooms for like 3,000, and she gave it to us for like 1,000. So we were just really lucky. And in fact, this time again, I still always, whenever I go to Goa, I always stay with the same lady's house. And this is my 7th time I'll be going there, and this is 6th time straight, because first time I didn't stay with her. I stayed near her place, and that's how we were wandering around there. And then this is again, we're going to be staying at her place only, and she's one of the most kindest people. And one of the person who's never going to try to fleece you. That's why when she knew that everybody's charging more, she just charged us like very reasonable price, because she's not a business person, and she's very nice. So somebody I really, really care for. And so yeah, I'm going to see her again later this month. So, but that part and couple of things that I remember from that trip was just apart from the personal stuff, which I can't really share. It's just, so I'm just finding it a bit awkward to talk today. Otherwise, normally I'm like very open and direct, but it's just weird, man. So, but I remember a couple of things I've written down that I can probably share. The church was thing was there. Other thing was like, you know, I realized that in Goa, as we call speed breakers in Delhi, they don't call it speed breakers, they call it rumblers. And it's like speed breaker sounds like such a rough, crude word, but rumblers, it sounds like, you know, you want to roll on them. Rumblers. It used to say rumbler
massaging chair.
Like, yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. When you're walking, right, it says rumbler ahead. I was like, wow, fucking speed breakers become rumblers. It's like, you know, just the way the popcorn became like, oh, nice. They got in a packet, chocolate popcorn, and they sell for like $250 outside. Oh, the one you buy, $350 for popcorn. I used to fucking give 1 rupee for popcorn when I was growing up. So, and then there was this one, last thing I'll say this, there was this one specific light. It was like a street light. We used to walk from Baga to Kalangot back and forth, and we used to take the back alley. And there was this light. The moment you pass the light, it was always on. And the moment we would pass that light, it would switch off. It would just switch off. And then one day we coming in other time, and then it was off. And then as we walked, it switched on. And that fucking creepy shit happened several times. And every time we would pass that place, because it was like a common like route. And every time we were doing this in the evening, and I was there for like 8 days. I always go to Goa for like at least 7 days. Apart from the last time, I think we were there 5 days for short. But it was a freaky, creepy thing. And even today, this time I'll go there, look at that light. I'm not sure that light probably is fixed right now. But creepily, it would just go off or come on. And we used to walk through there. But that's one trip I don't think I'll ever forget. That's 2010. So, over to you then.
I had a list, so I'm just thinking which one. So, I'll talk about the bed bugs.
Bed bugs. I love bed bugs.
So this was, I forgot that I didn't mention the timeline for the last story. So that was around 2006, the Puri story where I fell down from the bike. So this was in Bangalore. And after I moved to Bangalore in 2010. So it would be, I think, 2011. And my parents had come to visit me, and I was not married at that time, obviously. And so we planned for a trip to nearby places. So generally, there'll be buses, there'll be travel agents who will have package tours that for 2 days will take you to these places, and you just pay a flat rate, and then and there'll be a bus which will take you all to all those places. So basically a tour package. So we took a tour package to Bandipur, to Mysore, then to Bandipur. I mean, Bandipur, we were not staying. So Bandipur is like a national park, very big national park, and then Ooty, and then back to Bangalore. So we had to stay in Mysore for a day, then go to Ooty, and then same night we would come back to Bangalore. I didn't know that it was a bad idea because Ooty is very far from here, so it'll be very tiring, and that's not the way to travel anywhere. And this is a cautionary tale basically. So if you're going somewhere, take some days so that you can experience that place. So basically we had this crazy tour package of 2 days where we were going to Mysore and then Ooty. Ooty is in Tamil Nadu. And Ooty we would have seen in a lot of movies as well. So and then come back to Bangalore. So everything went well till we went to Ooty, and we spent 3-4 hours in Ooty, and then the bus started coming back from Ooty back to Bangalore. And the bus which took us to Ooty was different, and the bus which was taking us back from Ooty was different, because the road which they took, you cannot take a bigger bus on that road because it's all mountain road. So you need to have a certain kind of smaller buses. So I don't know whether that has changed now, but that was the case in 2011. Particularly on that route. I think there are multiple routes to go to Ooty. So anyway, so while coming back, it was already very late, and I think it was around after we had our dinner at 8 o'clock or something, and then it was supposed to be a straight journey with few breaks in between to Bangalore, and we would have reached Bangalore at 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 or 7 o'clock. And then strange things have started happening. That bus was very old and it was not well maintained, so it had bed bugs in the seats. So everyone was getting bitten, and I also got bitten. And there were certain seats where there were no bed bugs, but you know how bed bugs works. It is very easily transferable. If you have those bugs, if you sit somewhere, those bugs will transfer. So basically the whole thing was infested. The whole bus was infested. And everyone was very, obviously you can't, it had been a very long journey, as I said. And everyone wanted to sleep for some time, including me and my parents. And but no, big bed bugs won't let you sleep at all. And then everyone started getting irritated, but no one had the courage to say anything, right? It's night and everything. But I really got irritated because my mother was getting bitten a lot. And my parents are really very they tend to stay in a very clean environment. They don't like all these things. So they were really irritated, and then I also got irritated. Then I had enough, and I told the driver to stop the bus, and I said, call your boss and tell him that send a new bus right there. And I think it was around 1 o'clock in the morning or late night. And this guy was like, no, this is not possible, it can't happen and all that. Said, it's okay, you don't need to take any decision, you just call your boss. So they called the boss, whoever was the travel agent, and I started speaking to him, and that guy started abusing me. Said, I mean, all fancy abuses, and said, I will leave you there, you will have to come yourself, I won't do anything and all that. And I was angry, but then I understood that it is 2011, right? There's not much internet around and all those things. And I was angry, but I still realized that if they leave us here in the middle of the night, we can't do anything, right? So I mean, there was nothing else. I was really irritated, really enraged. I also abused him, he also abused me, but eventually there was nothing he could have also done, right? And 1 o'clock in the evening, can't send a bus from Bangalore. And I also was like, okay, nothing can be done, let's go there. At least it's a learning. And this has been my thing, that if something goes wrong, I take it in my stride and think that this is a learning, you have to learn from this. And then I came back, and from that day I never went to all those tour packages. And now when all these things are taken over by operators are all those bigger players, although Yatra and everything are coming up, and they are taking over these businesses. A lot of people feel bad as local businesses are going away and all that. But I always think that this is happening for the right reason, because if you're not treating your customers right, you are going to be taken over by these people, and this serves you right. And there are a lot of other businesses who were local businesses. They have also gone to internet on the web, and now they have to provide customer care, because there's always reviews and everything. You can post on Facebook, you can post everywhere, Twitter and everything. So now customer service has generally improved in India. Still far away from Western countries, but compared to what it was 10 years back, now it has really improved. And I really don't feel bad when these smaller businesses who were shit to their customers are taken over by this big corporation. So that was something which I wanted to say.
Yeah, I have a lot to say on that, but obviously we can't talk about it. But I think what you said was like, I mean, I don't even know where to start on this thing, but I'll just say that, I mean, you're a customer and they give you bed bugs and then they abuse you. That's the kind of country that we live in. And when people say, oh, you just hate everybody. Yeah, just because Bikram, you don't really say a lot of stuff a lot of time, but I'm just saying, like, you see it, right? It's just shit. I mean, how on earth did you just pay money to get fucking abused and got bitten? And by the way, you mispronounced beaten, but I think you were getting beaten as well. Like, I'm pretty sure you're getting bitten, everything. But this is the kind of culture it was rare before. Like, when I buy something from Amazon, if I don't like it, you just click a button. It's like, any reason? It's like, I don't want it. Okay, bye. You knew next thing, maybe you might get a message 5 seconds later, your money will be put back in your bank very soon, in 2 working days. Then your bank might take another day or so. Thank you for shopping with us or something. Dude, people used to say, oh, I need a real shop. You take it back. It's like, my mother just bought a stuff. It doesn't work. She takes it back. She's like, oh, सुबह तो हम वापस देते हैं, हमारे अच्छा नहीं होता है. Come back later in the evening. Also, दिन में आओगे तो वापस replacement नहीं मिलेगा. आप कुछ और खरीद लो इसलिए. What the fuck? I don't want to buy anything. Jesus Christ, mate. Your products don't work. So, 100% right what you just said. Okay, coming back to this thing. So I think time to move away from Goa and Dhanolti. So, I think I will say that I'm going to talk about 2 quick ones because I was just not sure which one to pick. So I said, let's just quickly talk about it. And I can't get into too much detail, but I lived in Ahmedabad for a little bit in 2006. When I say lived, you have to be somewhere for more than 3 months. That's why I feel you should, otherwise you should just be a tourist. So I was there for around 4 months, I believe. Not 5, I think 4 months. And that's where I met Baba, Sanket. And we had nice chats, and I used to live in a PG. They were all engineering students, and I think 3rd year. And then I came back to Delhi, and I think it was 2007 when I went there again. And that's when I actually ended up watching this movie also, which is completely off track, but Jab We Met. And so in Ahmedabad. And that's when, and that trip I went, which I didn't think much because I was living in Ahmedabad before and I was hanging out with all these guys. And then I remember once Sanket was like, oh, I think I don't remember exact dialogue, but I was like, I'll come back and see you guys because they were in their 4th year and they were leaving. And that's the time just before I was leaving, like that movie DDLJ. I realized that, in that movie, in the first half, you don't actually realize they're falling in love or something. And I was about to leave. I think I was there for 2-3 days. And when I was about to leave, and I just realized that I think this guy is my best friend. And it's been what? From 2006, I met in 2007, I realized this thing. We realized it. And now it's 2020. And he's still been my best friend. I've had 2 best friends in between apart from him. But they were very close, but it's like more like those romance and fire, and then fizzles off. The one guy I already talked to you about, and there was another girl also who was my very close friend. No, nothing romantic, but just genuinely my best friend. And then fizzled out. But then with Baba, it stayed all this while for like last 14 years, and that is like true love situation. So yeah, that was trip. I hardly ever remember anything about that trip. I do remember they used to, because it's Ahmedabad, they are students. So we used to, all of them would just get some drinks and very, very cheap liquor because, it's illegal. So you can get, and you're a student, so you're already poor. Then you have to get illegal, so you have to pay twice or thrice the money. So like, they would buy something which was cost like $200 that time and they would pay like 600. So we would get the cheapest fucking worst stuff and they will mix anything. These people will mix fucking rum with whiskey. Rum with beer. Yeah. These guys like do anything. And they will they will drink anything. So I remember like all of us were just sitting on the terrace on the roof. And everybody just like sitting against the wall and drinking, and just there's music, and it was just nice. And when I walk into the apartment, there would be like 25 pairs of shoes there, man. It was just crazy. So, and the other trip, which I just juxtaposing with this thing again, I don't want to talk about much of the trip, but it was 2011, I believe, if not 12. I think it's definitely 11. I had a big fight with the girl I was dating, and then I went in January, and I've gone 10 times straight. Last year is the only year I didn't go to Jaipur Literature Festival, and now next year it's not happening. It's happening, but I think online. It's just going to be online. So that's not happening. So that was and I went to Jaipur Literature Festival, and then my girlfriend showed up just out of the blue. From Delhi, and that's something which is like, and particularly see, it's not just travel all the way there, also the fact that we were fighting, and I just didn't expect that. So I was like, that's something I never forget, because that is something has never again happened. So that was another memorable instance. So those 2 trips, like when I realized this guy is my best friend, and this I was like, suddenly somebody just surprises you, like say, all right, I'm here. I was like, okay, I wasn't expecting that. There's actually a song called I Wasn't Expecting That. It's a very nice song. It's so yeah,
we cannot play it because
so yeah, that trip, and just I'm just gonna give the mic back to you. So yeah,
okay,
and I'll be left with one then. Yeah,
okay. So I think now I'll move to another country. All these stories were about India. So, I mean, I have a lot of stories from India as well, but let's bring some variety. So, this is the trip, or this is a work trip, right? But when you're going to a place like Brazil, even for work, it's exciting, right? And this was the first time when I was going out of the country, and I think I started the podcast with a story where first time I was going to a big city, and this is the first time I'm going to a different country. And generally, when people travel to different countries, they go to America, Australia, and Europe and everything, but no one goes to Brazil. It's very rare. And
apart from rich people or business people.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And even
or football players.
even for travel, I don't think a lot of Indians. I mean, people go to Brazil, people go to South America, but comparatively, it's very less. And that's what I've realized when I went there as well, because in any other foreign country, you will find a lot of Indians, but in South America, you will not find many Indians, especially in a place like Brazil. So anyway, this was the first time when I was going out, and I have a lot of stories from there, but I'll just briefly talk about like how I felt, and the first time when I landed, I still remember I said to myself, "Oh, this is how a foreign country feels like or looks like," and
Oh yeah.
it's when you first enter. And I went to Sao Paulo. I have this habit of saying Sao Paulo because when I went there, we always say Sao Paulo, but when you stay there, no one says Sao Paulo. It's called Sao Paulo. So so anyway, so there when I first landed, Brazil, went to Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo is like a bit like Mumbai. You have very rich areas and you have very poor areas. And when you land, like Mumbai, you will see a lot of favelas or the shanties while you are coming out of the airport. I think airport is very outside of the city, but when you are coming out, you will see large canals and there will be a lot of shanties and everything. So very, very much like Mumbai. And the difference was that you go anywhere in the world, if you speak English, you can get by, right? Unless you go to a very, very interior areas in India, but you can still get by. You can talk some words are very common and everything. But in Brazil, and I also mentioned this in the Netflix documentary review which I did, that no one speaks English. They don't like speaking English because they really hate Americans for various reasons.
Yeah.
Because they meddle a lot, and so they don't like to speak English. They don't want to learn English. Obviously, this has been changing because if you don't learn English, you can't earn money anymore. But that time, and this is I'm talking about 2015. So yeah, so that time I went there, and then I landed there, and it was such a huge shock for me. Not only because of this place, but because it was like a normal big city, Sao Paulo, because we were living in the the major hub of this business hub of the city. And so I was living in a hotel, and I thought that it will not be expensive. I was thinking that I'll save some money, because generally when people go outside, that's the thought, that they will save some money which they get from the company, because companies generally pay more when you go outside for various things, and people save money. But Brazil was so expensive, and I think that is one of the reasons why people don't go there. It's the economy is really inflated. The value of their currency is really inflated, so it's very expensive. I think that time, I don't know, I've not checked now, but that time their currency was like 25 rupees, so it was almost half of the US dollar, which is very surprising, because if you see economically, they are very similar to us. So so then I went there, and like no one was speaking English. You cannot understand anything which people are speaking around you, which is a very strange thing. It is very difficult to experience this in today's life, because we are so globalized. Everyone speaks English. Everyone understands you. But there, but if you are in some place where everyone is talking about something and you don't understand a thing, because unlike us, when we speak Hindi, we speak a lot of English words. We use a lot of English words, but those people, they don't use a single English word. Even the counting is done in Portuguese. So it was very difficult. But the most amazing thing which I remember was not, I mean, there are a lot of things which happened in Brazil which I can talk about, but this is one of the funniest thing which happened when I was coming back from Brazil. And that time I had did I mention this earlier? I don't remember, but I had a goatee, and I was thinner, and I had much more hair compared to now.
Better put that picture.
Yeah, if I have the picture, I'll put it. So when we landed in Mumbai, there was this plaincloth person hanging around the area, the arrivals area. And when I took my luggage and I was going out, this guy just came and stopped me and said, "Where are you coming from?" I said, "Brazil." Said, "Oh, why did you go there?" "Work." I said, "Did you buy any diamonds there?" I said, "Diamonds? What are you talking about? I hardly saved 20,000 rupees on the whole trip." Like, no. Then he said, can I check your bags? Said, yeah, go ahead. Then the person who had come with me, because I didn't go alone. I went with a senior. So that guy noticed that I am speaking to this guy, and that guy was from customs or police department. I don't know which part. But then my senior came and asked me what happened. And I said, I don't know. He's asking about diamonds and stuff. And then that guy was more senior, so he was looking more elderly and everything, right? So then he understood that, okay, this is not something where these kind of things are involved. And then I realized that, okay, what has actually happened, there was another guy on the flight who was Indian, and he was traveling from Brazil. There was just one couple who was on that flight. The boy was Indian and the girl was probably Brazilian. And that guy looked really like, those people who had studs and everything. And that Brazilian girl was also wearing very skimpy clothes. And then I realized that probably he was looking for that person, because they would have got some tip that someone is traveling like that. And I also had some kind of similar kind of look. And then when he realized that I'm not that person, then he started looking for that person. And probably he was doing some kind of carrying some kind of contraband or something, I don't know. But like, okay, at least something someone mistook me for a smuggler or something. So that was one incident.
Yeah, that happens. As you know already, recently in Bombay, people also mistook me for a smuggler as well, for a small dealer as well, or who actually peddles drugs on the road, right? So got stopped for that. It's another story for another time, I suppose. But yeah, that happened very recently. I was like, that hasn't happened because of the color of my skin and because I speak, but that happened. But it was very cordial, so that was fine. So, all right, my last final little story, whatever I can share about that. This is, I'm also moving out of the country now because I deliberately try to stay within the country. Weirdly enough, actually, I've not... although I was really away for a long time, I was not into traveling. So I was just...
I realized that.
So I went like, I moved to like, went to Sydney and a couple of other places, Adelaide and other places. I'm like, but those are not, I was like, yeah, whatever, man. So that was like that. So, but yeah, the one trip I really remember was in 2005 to Gold Coast, which is... something I genuinely remember, because it was not the fact that we were in the Surfers Paradise, which was a very nice place, and there was beaches amazing. Then we went to also this amazing beach, which is like the best beach ever I've ever seen. And these guys, we were in that what do you call that boat? It's not a boat. It's not a yacht. It's just in between. What those? And anyway, these people took us there, and then they sent us there. They said, like, you can only stay here for like 20-30 minutes or something like that. So then we came back, but that beach, I still have pictures from that beach, but it was just amazing. It's actually still on the wall. So, but I don't remember the name of the beach, but it was just like the sand, like, there's really good beach. Think of the best beach and the best sand that you've ever had, and multiply that by 5. So it was that good. So I live in Australia, right? So I know the beaches are amazing. They're like really amazing. Apart from the commercial beaches, like the commercial beaches, people say, this is gutter. Then you come to Bombay, it's like, if that was gutter, what the fuck is this thing? So I used to live in like Melbourne, there's St Kilda Beach, which is like the Juhu thing, like in Bombay. People's like, just St Kilda is so fucking commercialized, so fucking shit. And then now if you're from Bombay, you go to St Kilda, you're like, oh, this beach is so clean. So yeah, but that beach was like, it was because nobody used to go there, and you would just leave it there. I'm just forgetting, my brain freeze. Like, what do you call those things? They're like, they take you go to this rivers, and there's like all these boats they take you, but then call it boat or yacht. Yacht seems fancy, boat seems like it's not ferry, which is one of those things that just take you. Just my brain is just like not working. So
maybe eat some
all those things are obviously there, but why I remember is because that was the only time I actually traveled with somebody I was gonna get was very close with. I was gonna get married later on, so which we did not get married obviously, unless I'm not telling you all these years. Apart from that, so but that is something I really remember a lot. And we went to obviously the Dream World, which is like the Disneyland of Gold Coast, and also the sanctuary where I click picture with all the koalas and harassing all the kangaroos getting close. I have those pictures.
I think I've seen.
I posed with a lot. Posed with a lot of posed with on Bollywood style, which is all my fault, not her fault. So, and it was raining there. It never rains in Gold Coast, and then it started fucking raining when I was there, like just of all the times. And then we went to all the shitty malls there, which was probably built in 1970s, but now they actually renovated all those malls.
Okay.
But that time I was like, what happened here, man? Which country did we just land in? This is like so old. The malls are like so old. It was just crazy. So, but it was not all those things I remember. It's just, but the best part was that I do not even have the greatest memories from that thing, and I can't talk about a lot of things, but if people really want to know, then they can read my book, which has a lot more details on that. And but I realized then, just the way I realized in 2007 when I met Baba, when went back to Ahmedabad, that this guy is my best friend, or the same way I have better memories just hanging out with her regularly, like normally, like pajamas. We used to live together in the on campus in Monash University. And I had even better time than I was traveling. You know how people like, oh, let's travel, let's go to a restaurant, let's go. That's the time people have like, they have all the pictures and memories. But my memories are just in regular terms. So what I'm trying to say is that when you really, really love somebody, when you really like somebody, your memories are not based on a background or a pizza or a nice plate or a nice place.
Yeah.
You just like that person. And that's how my entire mind used to light up when I used to see her. And I remember that. And people are like, what is love? And again, if it's a filmy moment, I will tell you, like, that is what you feel when somebody's walking towards you and you just feel like, wow. Then you feel just really good about that. And also that you've not read my book. So I think obviously now I have to be disappointed, but I really hope you get on it. And because you'll finish it very quickly, but those are things that will happen. But yeah, that is something I definitely remember. As I said, it was not the greatest trip I ever had. But that's the only time I traveled with her, so that is very close to me because of that. So yeah, that's my final story for the day without me getting any more emotional or involved with that.
Yeah, I can understand.
Yeah. So off to you.
Yeah.
I know. Go on. Don't say anything.
Yeah. So I think last one I had couple of them, but since Samir was part of one of the stories, so I'll include a story which again features him, and this is in 2017, and this is in Chicago, and very unlikely thing which happened with us, because I'll tell you, I've already said again and again that I didn't had a great time in my college years, and same goes for Samir. In fact, he even had a more terrible time than me, and I mean, I don't want to reveal a lot of it because I don't know how comfortable he will be. But there were times when people used to point to like give our example that how big failures we are, right, in our batch. And they used to always say that these people will never do anything. And because we used to not go to college a lot, and then we used to fail in a lot of subjects, and somehow we managed to pass. So there is always this saying, right, that if you don't score good enough marks, you will be a failure in the life, in your life, right? Whether it's your 10th or your 12th or your engineering. And 10th I had good marks, 12th I didn't have very great marks, and engineering also I somehow passed, and somehow got a job. And I was actually luckier than Samir. He had to struggle a lot. He actually worked in jobs which only paid 5,000 a month, which is nothing for engineering graduate, right? And then we passed in 2008, and then 9 years forward, this was a coincidence that I was also near Chicago. I was working in Indiana, and then Samir also used to live in Michigan. So if you know the geography, then Michigan and Indiana are really close to Chicago. So we planned that let's meet in Chicago. and I also came, and he's, as I said, that he's very comfortable with bikes and cars, and I came on a train, and that time I was married. My wife was also with me, and so that was the first time when I took a train in America, because generally in America you travel by car or flight. Trains are not really popular mode of transportation there, but it was a really good experience. The train was really good, and it was that old fashioned thing where the ticket collector would come out of the train in a station, and he would bring a stool for you to enter the train. So it was a very nice experience to travel in a train in a Western country. But it's not about the train. It's about when we met in Chicago, and in the evening we sat sat in a nice place, nice restaurant near the pier. So if you go to Chicago, the pier area is very popular, a very happening place in the night. So we sat there, and we just were chatting, and then we just thought about the college days and how miserable we were at that time, and how people used to make fun of us and give examples of us that this is how failure looks. And then 9 years forward, we are sitting in a nice restaurant in Chicago, having a chilled beer, and talking posting our pictures on Facebook and everything. And that's what life is all about. It's not about failures at certain point, because failures will not stop you if you are doing your work properly, if you're doing. And we are not special people, right? I'm not saying that I made it big in my life and I achieved something, but I'm just saying that even though I had miserable time in my 12th and my engineering, and if any student is listening to the podcast maybe somewhere down the line, your life,
they are
your life doesn't stop in your college, or your life doesn't end because of bad marks in your college or in your school, because you still have a lot of things to do in your life after you have passed out, after you have graduated. Again, passed out is not the right word to use, but that is something which I always tell people because a lot of students come to me for advice and everything. How should I tackle my studies? And I just say that try to enjoy your studies, because that's what we didn't do. We didn't enjoy our studies. It felt like a struggle for us, and that's why we had that miserable time. And there were a lot of factors why that happened. But I always tell people that you do what you enjoy, try to enjoy. Don't worry about marks, because marks are nothing. I am an example. Samir is an example that marks are nothing. Eventually you will reach your destination. You will reach where you want to go if you just enjoy what you're doing. And this goes for us as well, right? We are doing this, hardly 10-12 people are watching after we
a lot of times,
but we are enjoying it. That's why we are setting aside such a long time and then doing it. So eventually, since we are talking about trips, and I thought this will be a good one to end the podcast with. And I hope that we also reach somewhere with this eventually.
Yeah, I think I'll just say that two things, that some people who because we apologize for naming the podcast Trip, because there are some people like, I watched this thing, you didn't get any information about the trips. Because they were looking for the joint things, weed and hash trips, but that didn't happen. They were like, what the hell is this thing? The same people who read To Kill a Mockingbird could not find anything about killing a mockingbird. Not very happy. So they're just having a very tough time. Trust me, I've had the tough time. Also, other thing I would say, Bikram, that I did not know exactly about. I don't even know Samir. I don't even right now. I can't even picture him. Also, I probably have to see his picture. But I think a lot of time you just did not have a good time, not because you scored badly, but because those assholes all those assholes actually just let everybody know have died of COVID right now. Whosoever thought you guys are failures, but these are the people who made you feel miserable, not your scores.
Yeah.
Because the same thing happens, like, because I was in Australia, right? Like, a lot of people would get shit scores, but they would just enjoy. But if those assholes, just the way were there and just making them feel like shit because you're like losers, then they would have also felt shit about themselves.
Yeah.
So I think all those people who think like, forget about it, just because you score better, other people don't score better, let everybody enjoy because of you, because you were stronger, right? But this is how some people just kill themselves and become so depressed for the rest of their life. Also never actually end up getting any job or actually reaching any kind of potential because they think they're losers, because everybody says so. They got shit scores, so they're losers. That 5,000 job that Samir got, they get stuck on that and they never move forward from that. Then because then after that, it just, the life spirals in the wrong way.
Yeah.
And because of assholes who just bully other people just because they, study like a fucking nerd and they score better than other people. So yeah. And I think a great learning and couple of things that we had in this thing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to my next trip, which I think is definitely going to be one memorable trip for me as well. Hopefully, unless I become a murderer. But if the price is right, then it's okay. So on that, because Dexter has been over for a long time, so somebody needs a new Dexter right now.
Didn't it start again?
If you really like that,
Or it's
did it start again?
Yeah, it's starting again.
Jesus Christ. That guy is like, I'm just bored. I think he's probably really killing people right now. So, all right, I'm just really concerned my camera will go off. I, in fact, got up in between to just check if it's working or not. So, on that note, keep watching. We'll be doing more podcasts. And next one we're doing is Social Dilemma.
Yeah, which is very interesting.
That's the documentary, movie documentary, which we're shooting on Sunday. So, that should be out next week as well. And that will be interesting. That's about how social network social media is actually destroying our life, and they're doing it deliberately and they love it. How much they love it. They get orgasms by trying to destroy us and making money and killing us. That's their total motive. So on that note, enjoy, and if you're traveling somewhere, travel safe as well. If you don't travel safe, well, there'll be one less person. Maybe if you're traveling with more less people, I'm happy about that all the more. So yeah, on that note, amazing thing I said. Take care. Have a good evening. This is Gav and this is Big.
Yep.
Enjoy whatever you're doing and stay safe, maybe, hopefully. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.